All right, so today let's dive into something that might make you rethink your device security,
Okay.
especially if you're using Jamf Pro to manage all those Macs out there. We've got some fascinating material to unpack today about a potential vulnerability
Yeah,
that even the best device management tools can have.
you're right.
Sometimes,
Sometimes the most secure-looking setups have hidden weaknesses. It's
yeah,
like having a state-of-the-art alarm system,
right.
but leaving a window unlocked.
That's a great analogy. And the window we're talking about today is
Yeah.
how devices get those digital certificates.
Right.
They need to access everything from your network to your cloud apps.
Sure.
Traditionally, those certificates have been tied to user credentials,
Yeah.
and that's where things can get a little dicey.
Yeah.
Remember the 2024 Snowflake data breach?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
In that case, attackers got their hands on stolen credentials
right.
from an infected personal device, and that was all it took to compromise sensitive data. This highlights a crucial point. Relying solely on user credentials for device certificates is inherently risky.
Yeah, it's a bit like giving out keys to anyone who can recite a password
Yeah.
without checking their ID.
Right.
Not exactly Fort Knox level security.
Exactly. And that's where Smallstep comes in.
Okay.
They're the leaders in something called high assurance device identity. And their integration with Jamf Pro is a real game changer for Mac security.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So we're talking about Jamf Pro, which is a fantastic tool for managing all those Macs out there,
Right.
and Smallstep, which adds this extra layer of device identity.
Yes.
How do these two work together to create a more secure environment?
Well, let's first understand where traditional Jamf Pro setups might fall short.
Okay.
Jamf is a powerhouse for MDM, handling everything from software updates to compliance.
Right.
But when it comes to issuing device certificates, it traditionally relied heavily on user credentials.
So even if a device wasn't meant to be on the network, if someone plugged in the right username and password,
Right.
it could potentially get a certificate and access sensitive resources.
That's the risk.
Wow.
And to add fuel to the fire, many MDM setups, including those using Jamf Pro,
Right.
used to rely on SCEP secrets. SCEP stands for Simple Certificate Enrollment Protocol,
Okay.
and it's basically the language devices use to request and receive certificates.
So it's like a secret handshake that lets devices get those all-important digital passes?
Exactly. But here's the problem.
Okay.
If these static SCEP secrets were ever leaked, anyone could potentially impersonate a legitimate device and generate valid certificates,
Oh.
opening the door to all sorts of trouble.
It's like having one master key that unlocks every room in a building.
Right.
Not exactly the ideal security setup.
Not at all. And on top of that, traditional certificate renewals were often manual processes. Imagine IT admins having to track expiration dates and manually renew certificates for hundreds or even thousands of devices.
Oh my gosh.
A logistical nightmare.
So we've got multiple potential points of vulnerability baked into the traditional approach.
Yes.
Unauthorized devices, slipping through the risk of leaked secrets, and the burden of manual certificate management.
Yeah, right.
Where does Smallstep fit into all of this?
Smallstep addresses these issues by bringing true device identity into the picture.
Okay.
It's no longer just about trusting the user. It's about trusting the device itself.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
How does Smallstep actually establish that trust in the device?
They use something called ACME Device Attestation, or ACME DA, which is a fancy way of saying they leverage the unique hardware characteristics of each device
Right.
to create a tamper-proof digital identity.
Okay,
Think of it like a digital birth certificate issued by the device manufacturer,
got it.
in this case, Apple.
So it's like the device is presenting its ID card,
Yeah.
and Apple is vouching for its authenticity.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And this ID card isn't something you can just copy or fake. It's rooted in the hardware of the device,
Okay.
specifically a secure chip called the Secure Enclave on Macs.
Okay.
This is where things get really interesting from a security
See it.
perspective. Yeah.
Oh, it's a stopping point?
Okay, let's stop there and we'll pick up in the next part with this idea of the Secure Enclave
Okay.
and how that digital birth certificate actually gets used.
Okay,
All right, sounds good.
cool. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're
Right.
getting into the nitty-gritty of how a Smallstep actually enhances security in a Jamf environment.
Last we left off, we were talking about the Secure Enclave and this idea of a digital birth certificate for devices.
Right.
So how does that birth certificate actually get used to prove a device's identity?
It all starts with a process called attestation.
Okay.
When a device wants to enroll with Smallstep, it uses its Secure Enclave to generate what's called a cryptographic attestation. This is basically a signed statement that says, hey, I am who I say I am, and here's my proof. So it's like the device is digitally signing its ID card, using its unique hardware fingerprint.
Precisely.
Huh.
This attestation is then sent to Smallstep's attestation authority, which is like a super secure digital notary.
And what does this digital notary do with the device's attestation?
It verifies it, of course. It checks the attestation against Apple's records to make sure it's legitimate and hasn't been tampered with.
Got it.
Think of it like cross-checking a passport against a government database.
So if everything checks out, the device gets the green light. What happens then?
If the attestation is valid, Smallstep issues the device a unique device certificate.
Okay.
This certificate is like a digital VIP pass that grants access to various resources based on that device's proven identity.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
Mm.
We've got Jamf managing our devices, Smallstep verifying their identity, and these certificates acting as secure keys.
Yes.
But how do those keys actually get used in practice?
Right.
Like if I'm trying to connect to my company's VPN, how does the device certificate come into play?
That's where the Smallstep agent comes in. Remember we talked about how it gets deployed through Jamf Pro policies?
Yeah.
Well, this agent acts like a smart key manager living on the device and handling all the certificate logistics behind the scenes.
So it's like a concierge for your device's digital identity.
I like that the Smallstep agent securely stores the device certificate, retrieves any necessary configuration details from Smallstep,
Okay.
and automatically presents the certificate whenever it's needed.
So if I'm trying to connect to that VPN, the Smallstep agent automatically shows my device certificate to the VPN server, proving that I'm on a trusted, verified Mac.
Exactly. No more manual certificate installations or complex configurations for users or IT.
Right.
Everything just works seamlessly in the background.
That's a huge win for both security and user experience.
Yeah,
And it sounds like the agent takes care of another headache too, certificate renewals.
absolutely. The agent keeps track of expiration dates and automatically requests new certificates from Smallstep before the old ones expire. It's a set-it-and-forget-it solution that eliminates the risk of disruptions caused by expired certificates.
So IT admins can reclaim countless hours that they used to spend on manual certificate management.
Right.
What a relief.
It's all about automating security and making it invisible to the end user, but the Smallstep agent doesn't stop there. It can do more than just manage certificates. It can actually retrieve and apply other configuration settings from Smallstep.
Now you've really got my attention. What other kinds of settings are we talking about?
We're talking about things like Wi-Fi credentials, VPN settings, even system-level security policies. This means instead of manually pushing those settings out through Jamf, the agent can grab them directly from Smallstep,
Okay.
ensuring everything stays up to date and in sync.
Wow, so we're streamlining device management, automating security enforcement, and simplifying IT workflows all at the same time. It sounds like Smallstep and Jamf are truly better together. But I have to ask, are there any limitations or downsides to this approach?
There are always caveats, as with any technology. The Smallstep agent, for instance, still requires some level of user interaction for certain actions, like
Okay.
approving a new VPN configuration. However, Smallstep is actively working on making this even smoother in future releases.
So it's a work in progress, but clearly heading in the right direction. It seems like the benefits of this combined approach, enhanced security simplified management, and a better user experience, far outweigh any minor limitations.
I completely agree, and we're just scratching the surface here. The true power of this device-centric approach lies in its potential beyond Macs and even beyond Jamf.
Welcome back. We've spent the last two segments unpacking how Smallstep adds a powerful layer of device identity on top of Jamf Pro.
Right?
But I'm curious, how is all of this playing out in the real world? Are organizations actually seeing benefits from this approach?
Absolutely. One of the biggest areas where we're seeing this dynamic duo shine is in securing access to cloud services.
Okay.
Think about all the sensitive data companies store in platforms like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud.
It's pretty much everything these days, right? From customer information to financial records,
Yeah.
intellectual property, and more.
You got it. And with Smallstep, organizations can finally move beyond simply trusting usernames and passwords
Right.
to access this critical data. It's about making sure that only devices that are known and verified can get through the door.
So it's like having a digital bouncer at the entrance to your cloud infrastructure, checking IDs, and only letting in those who belong there.
That's a great way to put it. Only devices that have gone through that rigorous ACME DDA verification process and have a valid Smallstep certificate are granted access.
It makes a lot of sense, especially with the rise of remote work and BYOD.
Right.
If someone's accessing sensitive data from their laptop, you want to be extra sure that device is trustworthy.
Exactly. Smallstep eliminates the risk of employees accidentally or intentionally accessing confidential information from unmanaged or compromised devices. Even if someone managed to steal a user's credentials, they wouldn't be able to access anything without a device that's been verified by Smallstep.
That's a huge weight off the shoulders of security teams everywhere.
Yeah.
So cloud security is one major win. What other real-world applications are we seeing?
Think about anything that relies on certificates for authentication. VPNs, Wi-Fi networks, SSH access code signing, even internal applications and APIs.
Wow.
Smallstep can help secure pretty much anything that hinges on digital trust.
So it's about taking those same principles of device identity and applying them across the board.
Precisely. It's like having a universal security key that only unlocks doors for devices that have proven their identity. No more worrying about unauthorized access or rogue devices wreaking havoc.
Okay, so we're talking about a major shift in how security works.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. Implementing a whole new paradigm like this can't be easy. What are some of the challenges organizations might face when making this transition?
You're right, it's not just about flipping a switch. One of the biggest hurdles can be changing mindsets.
Okay.
For years, security has been all about passwords, firewalls, and perimeter defenses. Device identity represents a fundamental shift in thinking.
It's about moving from that traditional castle and moat approach to a more modern, agile security model.
Exactly. It requires organizations to embrace a zero-trust model, where no device or user is inherently trusted. This means changing policies, workflows, and even organizational culture.
That makes sense. You can't just slap on a new technology and expect everything to magically become secure. It takes a concerted effort and a willingness to adapt.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that no security solution is foolproof. Device identity is a powerful tool, but it's not a silver bullet.
So it's not about replacing existing security measures. It's
Yeah.
about layering them, right?
Exactly. Device identity is one piece of the puzzle, but it should be combined with other best practices, things like strong password policies,
Right.
multi-factor authentication, and regular security audits.
So it's about creating a more robust, multi-layered defense that accounts for all the ways attackers might try to compromise the system.
Precisely. And I think it's also worth noting that device identity solutions like Smallstep can sometimes require a bit more technical expertise to implement and manage compared to traditional security tools.
So some organizations might need to invest in training for their IT staff.
Yeah.
Or maybe even consider working with a specialized security partner to get up and running.
That's a good point. But I'd argue that the long-term benefits of enhanced security and reduced risk far outweigh the initial investment.
It's like buying an insurance policy for your organization's most valuable assets, its data and its reputation. And let's not forget about those operational efficiency gains we talked about earlier.
Right.
Automating certificate management and device provisioning saves IT teams countless hours of tedious manual work.
Right. It's about making life easier for the people who keep your organization running smoothly and securely. At the end of the day, good security empowers people to do their best work without constantly worrying about threats.
So to wrap up our deep dive today, we've explored how Smallstep and Jamf Pro work together to create a more secure environment for Macs. We've seen the power of device identity and how it's changing the game for cloud security, VPN access, and so much more. But most importantly, I hope we've sparked some new ideas about how you can enhance your own organization's security posture.
Absolutely. In a world where attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated and devices are more interconnected than ever, it's time to consider the device itself as a critical part of your security strategy.
We've only scratched the surface today. If you're intrigued by what you've heard, we encourage you to dig deeper into Smallstep, Jamf Pro, and the power of device identity.
And remember, the journey to better security is ongoing. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay secure.
That's a wrap for the deep dive. Until next time.